Good morning. Okay, getting this set up here. So, hope you guys can hear me just fine. So, check my audio real quick. Hope you guys can hear me just fine. Yep, it's working. All right. It looks like I'm by myself right now. Don't know if anyone else is here, but anyways, my name is Shane. I am the Lever Monkey, and we are here to talk about the way the week has been going, or the last 2 weeks, since I did not have a live broadcast last week during the Thanksgiving weekend. And we just went along with the things the way they were. So, if you came in on my clickbait there, that's not very good. We just, I dug a hole. Morning Tran, thank you for popping in. I'll talk about the way work has been going. I've got a few videos that I collected from YouTube that I'm gonna sample. And geez, growing up much? I don't think so. Anyways, I just got some videos to show you. Just clip through them and talk a little bit about it. Some other construction stuff that I saw. Some bad situations that you can get into. So, other than that, I guess we'll just get into it. See if I can figure out all my stuff here. No. Yes. Okay, I want to start off with some pictures here. So, this is from Tran. Thank you, Tran. This is probably Thanksgiving weekend. Got ourselves a fire truck with the American flag flying. Love it. Got some little machine here with a grabber. So this is an interesting little deal here. It's just basically two thumbs. So it's like two fingers at the grabber. You can use for, I'm guessing, picking up whatever these are in the background. It look like logs, but they're wrapped. I'm guessing there's some kind of hay wrapping or something like that. So you use it when you disturb ground. You take it and you roll it out like jute mat or something like that. 336. Got Komatsu next to a cat. So 328D here, I actually ran one of these in up at Clear Lake. I did a 9-mile long sewer line, force main sewer from a lift station, 9 miles through the town of Clear Lake, through people's streets, yards, and backyards, and across all kinds of stuff, and just digging. And we were only a couple of feet deep, but we put the line in, put it on sandbags, then we use what's called CLMF, which is a concrete lined or concrete infused dirt. So you pull the dirt out, you send it to the concrete plant in a truck, they dump it, then they mix concrete into the dirt, they bring it back on a mixer, and they just pour it back into the hole. That way it encompasses the whole pipe and gets hard, and you don't have to worry about settlement at all. Let's see, more pictures from Tran coming down the highway. Got our porta potty standard. Now this is an old PC 400. You can tell this does not have the newer DF systems and stuff like that. This is a older early 2000s, late 90s model. Now, I have run one of these before, and this one is in bad shape. You can see all the oil and grease that have run down the boom and everything from years of use. Rusted because nobody gave a damn about the machine. He's got his bucket on backwards for shoveling up the rock and stone to put into either a loader bucket, which you can see here's the loader, which also appears to be an older model. And yes, I can tell the difference between an older model and a newer model just by the bucket. So, another 328, 345. Ooh, that's a brand new one. That's nice. Now, could be. So, when people talk about parking your excavator at the end of the day, there's several different ways you can park it with the boom outstretched. Now, the reason you would do this is because it closes the hydraulic rams here, and here. And what happens is in the back, on the other side, on the non-operator side, there's a panel you can open, and there's a sight gauge in there that has an oil level. And next to that sight level will be a picture of the position the excavator needs to be in to properly check the oil level. So whatever the picture shows, that's how you should park the machine to check the oil levels. Another 490. That's a big boy there. This is a newer model, but still, we got a lot of grease. So a lot of times the reason these booms get so dirty is when they get lubed and greased, the grease from here, because this is a pivot point that gets the most workout. And this one usually gets over greased. It doesn't move a whole lot. It only moves like 1 or 2 degrees, but still all that grease and everything falls all the way down the boom and makes just a mess. Same thing for back here. You see there's the main pin back here, and they're right up in, right up in here is a grease block. So it's got a whole bunch of different connections, zerks, and lines that go up to these top points to grease this stuff up and down. So you can see right here, there's a grease line that comes up to this pivot point on the lift ram for the boom. So this grease block, there's always a big mad mess of grease right in here from the oiler. Hitachi. I like Hitachis. I do not get to run them enough. Now, an interesting thing that we see here, so that's a fork, a telelift. So that's a forklift. You can see here, that's the boom. That's all one machine. The operator sits in the middle of the machine. Can't tell. Okay, that looks like a dozer, an older dozer. You see tracks here, the what was it, the ripper bar back here without rippers in it. But we have an excavator with a CTL right here in between the bucket and the machine. Now this is to prevent somebody from stealing the machine, doing bad things with it. But to be honest with you, these little machines, if you're that worried or you're in an area, I mean, if someone's got a key to steal this thing, someone's got a key to the excavator to move it out of the way to steal the little one. So that's my opinion on that. But I like Hitachis. Oh, okay, that's the end of those. All right, now on to my week on how things were going. So we got the delivery of parts of our shields. So 24-foot shield in the back. We have 12-footer. So this is going to be a 12-foot by 12-foot shoring. So we're going to have one 24-foot section plus a 12-foot, making 36 feet of trench line. So this is for a jack and bore. So what happens is we're going to dig a trench, put the boxes in it. This is it completed. So you can see the 12-foot box back there. See the 24-foot box here. We're approximately 20-something feet deep. This is day 2. Took us 2 days to get this far. You can see we've got 3 pumps in there trying to handle this water that we've got infiltrating into the site. There is a layer of sand down here that is causing all kinds of problems. You can see it kind of right there, but the water is actually bubbling up from the center of the trench, or from the hole. So it's actually going down through the sand, coming underneath and bubbling straight up. There was a well point, an old well point for an existing line that's next to us. So where I'm standing, you see my foot here. So right behind me are 2 64-inch sewer lines. That's what we're doing. We're boring a 20 some foot borehole underneath those lines, and then we'll come up on the other side. So there'll be another trench box over there, a receiving hole, which is only going to be a 12 by 12, which we got mostly done on Friday. But we've got some issues with that one. Probably shouldn't have gone full depth on it just yet. But back here, we're going to put plates in to make it safe where I'm standing. The only reason I'm standing here is because we have the steel plates that go down the back side of this, these I-beams. You can see in the back there's an I-beam instead of the round bar. So the round bar are just spreader bars. And then we use the I-beam spreader bars back here because what's happening is the plates or the sheet piles would be pressed up against. So if there's a cave in, it pushes the steel up against the shore, against these I-beams instead of these rounds. So these rounds, if enough pressure is applied in the center, they can bend. So they're not something that you want to pull on or whatever. The I-beam ones are the preferred method. They're stronger, not necessarily just to hold it apart, but to keep it from bending if something's hitting it in the center. Okay, let's see what is. So this is, you can see cave in. There's the sheet piles I was talking about on the back side behind the I-beams. So I've got sand down at the bottom. The upper ground up here, you can see this is all real good material. But if there's nothing underneath it to hold it up, it just drops and caves in. So this is prior to me putting that second box in. You can see the second box sitting over here ready to go in. But we're just trying to get this water mitigated. Generator. And then this was actually the first shield going in. I'm kind of talking about these out of order. But you can see we hit water. So this shield is 10 feet tall, 10 or 12 feet tall. And we hit water already at this elevation. So we've been dealing with water we have the water table is like half the height of the ditch. It's a real pain to deal with. And then we go on to, let me see, hold on. Get this whole thing out of here. Tran lives in a wintry wonderland right now. He just sent me a message saying that he just got done cleaning the driveway. It was a lot of snow. Well, that's where you guys live. That's your guys' problem, not mine. At least not right now. All right, so let's move on. This would be Friday. We've got rock going in. You can see the pumps are buried. We have now put in a 3-inch pump back here, which is running and maintaining the water much better, along with these 2 pumps, 2-inch lift pumps. And these 2-inch pumps lifting this high vertically, they're not super efficient. So the 3-inch has the horsepower to be able to lift up and out that elevation and pump it out. And this is the end of the day for Friday. I don't know. I really put these up in the wrong order. But you can see the sheet piles back here. On this side, we didn't have enough sheet piles to stabilize the side, so nobody's going in that hole until we do that. But I think what we've done is we ordered 2 20-foot long steel plates to go down the backside to seal it much better than the sheet piling does. The sheet piling's okay, but it's just not the best. They take a long time to put in, and while we were putting these sheet piles in, we had a cave in behind them, exposing some of the pipe back there, which is a bad situation. But this is 2 sheet piles that we put in. You see we got it buried. So these are 20 feet long, and so is this shield. So the shield combined is 20 feet. And then this is a 20-foot sheet piling, so it's down in the ground, buried pretty far. Now, this is a key feature of doing this with sheet piles, is because with it keyed in all the way down, it can't push out, even if dirt hits it on the side. And this is pretty much what our close to our finished product looks like. We got our pumps in, we've got rock down here, I've cleaned up sides. More than likely we're going to be putting in railing around it for the other crew that comes in to do the jack and bore. So they'll have a machine down here that will push just like the micro tunnel, but it's going to be a much smaller operation. But we have 2 steel plates in the back that are 1.5 inches thick. Their machine will push against those 2 plates to push the pipe and drill head through the ground underneath the 64-inch lines. And then the last picture here is from Tran. And what we have is that, and this is an aluminum system. It's sitting on its side, so this would be the bottom of the shield. So you tip it over and sit it down. These are all panels that make up these slats. So that's all those are. It's just panels that get locked in. You can see here, these are the pins that lock everything in. So this goes into a slot right here. The pin goes through, holds this piece in, and then when all the weight is applied, they just push on each other and create a stable work area. So this one is designed, this is probably an 8-foot high one. 8 feet to 10 feet is usually typically what they are, but this is a pretty big one. So it looks like a 12-foot, 12 by 12 possibly, but you throw this over, throw it in the ground, and if you're only this deep, but these windows are for where pipe passes through, so this does have limited safety application, but if you got really good ground, it's not that big of a deal. It's just there to support whatever's there. If something were to cave off from the top, it's going to hit this and then drop straight down instead of flopping all the way over and landing on somebody. All right, so that's all for the Discord photos. Yes, we're watching myself. So I've got this video came across my desk here, and so we've got a pond back here. Let's open this thing up. There's a pond back here, and these guys, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but this is obviously a foreign country, and we've got an excavator here that's buried. I don't know if it's actually running or not, but this guy right here in the middle of this, he's on a downward slope. You can see water is starting to run over this. We got a little grizzly right here that's sifts out rock and whatnot, so rock will fall off one side and then the good material falls on the bottom. But I don't know if this is AR or not, but let's give this a little watch and see what's going on. Water is spilling over the top. Yeah, that one's running. No idea what these guys are doing, but what they're doing is something really bad, and this guy's about to be in a lot of trouble. You can see this dam here is starting to fail with this guy. And now, the reason I believe this is not AI is because you can hear the guys properly. I don't see any glitching in the video that would say it's not real. But you can see this guy, all this wet material, he's just sinking into it. And this erosion, this water is going to erode this dam fast. And this is not something that you can just run away from. This operator, he should have gone over here to this pile instead of going down the slope with the water. He's just put himself in a horrible position. This guy up here, he's like, yeah, it's time to get the hell out of here. I'm done. And they finally notice, all these guys, these workers, notice what's going on down here. So they're all yelling at him, telling him to get out. But he can't go anywhere. There's nowhere for him to go at this point. I think he was actually calling for the other operator to help him. But as soon as he started going down that slope, he was in trouble. So yeah, I mean, the situation we got here, this dam is going to break. It's going to run all the way down. So here, jump ahead a little bit. You see he's gotten on top of the excavator. Everybody's working to get out. There's a third excavator off screen. And everybody's just along for the ride at this point, especially this operator. This operator, oh, look, see, it's dam starting to fail. That's a lot of weight of material that's going to come down and builds pressure back here, pushes the mud, and the machine's just sliding with it. Don't jump, dude. Now, I haven't seen the entire video on this yet, but dam failing completely. Guy's getting wet now. He's got nowhere to go. But what we've got here is, I think the thing that's going to save him is the fact that this whole area is so big. It's not directly hitting him. It's spreading out, dispersing the energy of the water. And he's just going to have to wait it out on top of that machine. Slippery when wet. So now he's looking at possibly getting on the boom. But at this point, this is how it's going to flow. He's actually safe right now as long as he stays on that machine where he's at. This is the extent of what he's stuck. That machine's a goner, so we don't care about the machine anymore. Just the operator needs to survive at this point. But this is one of the things you have to be aware of where you're working at. So working in that wet zone, don't know why he put himself in that situation, but this operator put himself in that situation being unaware of what's going on. So as long as there's enough area for this water to escape, so if he's in another low-lying area that's going to fill with water and mud, he might have to swim himself out. So yeah, see, it's starting to pond and fill up. So he might be in trouble. Jump ahead. Excavator is completely engulfed at this point. This is aftermath, so they did not show what happened with the operator. Or did they? Nope. Nope, they just jumped to after. You can see the water still running, although much slower because that pond has disappeared. Over to here and made a new pond. So, oh my god, these guys. I'm guessing this is some kind of mining operation. But anyways, don't put yourself into situations that can be like super bad. I mean, we come back to this. I mean, right off the rip, this guy is in a position underneath the failure point. Never should have been there. I mean, as soon as you see a trickle of water start coming over, or you're close to this water table here, the material is not going to hold. I don't care who or what you think you're good at or what material is good or not. It's not as good as you think. So let's move on to the next one. So we've got a skidder here with chained up tires with snow. And let's see what happens here. I'm not sure what all is going on in this video. I haven't watched it either, but I thought it was interesting. We've got a little cable system here on a... Now, I've run one of these before, these skidders. They're mostly used in logging operations for getting through very difficult places. So back here, this is the tow block with a cable pulley system here with rollers for the cable to roll on. And that back plate is to stop trees from slamming into the machine. Now, these things are very capable of going places. This is a much older one than I ran. and it's pretty small. I've seen them much larger than this, but they're for really back area work. So here we go. He's just going to dive off this slope, and this slope is probably pretty dang steep. Cameras really don't capture slopes very well. So you can see he's using his blade up here to push to prevent him from just absolutely sending it down the hill. So here's that cable I was talking about coming through that block. So that would be the cable that keeps him from running away, more than likely. So when he gets to a certain point, if he gets in trouble, he can tug on the winch or tighten up the winch cable and pull himself back up the hill or out of trouble. So they got some other cable running across here that he's about to get into. All right. So not a whole lot of exciting. Oh, backhoe. I have never seen a Komatsu backhoe in all my years. And we got 2 people in the cab. Not recommended and definitely not legal in the States to have 2 people in the cab of a backhoe, because there aren't 2 seats in there to sit in. So this guy's going to use the backhoe as a anchor, I believe. No. Oh, I think he's going to get a bucket of dirt, maybe? I don't know what he's doing. Oh, he's just cleaning it up for maybe the next machine coming down or something. I don't know. But it's got those vertical jacks on it that just go straight down instead of like the John Deere cats and whatnot that have the outriggers that cam down off. All right, that wasn't super exciting. But this video here depicts safety situations. We have a crane that has flipped over, and it's in a situation you can see they have tipped over. The boom over here is bent. Everybody was fine on this situation. I looked it up, and we have another crane over here that is lifting on the crane that has flipped. So they're trying to fix this situation. Now you got these guys down here. They're in the danger zone. These are the guys that are more than likely going to have an issue. And I have seen this video before, so I know what's going to happen here. Don't ever put yourself in a situation where you're underneath something that's not 100% supported. And you'll see why. Boom. Both guys are okay. They were wearing their hard hats when it happened. Cable let loose, and the crane fell. Don't trust rigging. Oops. Foreign country, picking up something with a converted backhoe. Manages to survive, save the situation. Another crane picking up something that's way too heavy for itself. So, cranes. Cranes are always dangerous. So at this point, they come into this video, and this guy's already done. The only thing you can do at this point as an operator is you hold on for dear life if you're capable. These hydraulic cranes, they're not like the old lattice boom cranes that had clutches and everything. So these are hydraulically driven cable winches. So it can only drop a load or whatever as fast as the hydraulics will allow it. So like the old cranes, you could drop a load and it would just straight fall. You just hit the clutch, let the load fall, and it lands wherever it lands. Hopefully it's somewhere in a safe area. But these hydraulic cranes, you cannot drop the load fast enough. Let's see, what do we have? That's in. I can't tell. I think this crane might be landing on top of this crane, which would be very bad. Oh, the load came off. Okay, see, his boom is across the top of that other one. Boats, yep, flipping. Now, this dude is super lucky. That dude was super lucky there. You see, the boom actually hit the bottom of the bay and stopped it from flipping all the way over. I didn't see if the guy jumped out or not, but you've got to know your load situation. So you got another crane that has already flipped, and they were trying to upright the crane with two other cranes. And that's where I'm talking about your clutch. So you can see here. So this crane here, his load is getting too close to him. So this crane was set up too close for this. I don't know if they're assembling, disassembling, or what's going on. It possibly looks like there might be somebody here. But so what's going on is here, this has failed. The clutch or whatever that's holding the main cable has failed, and it's still attached. Everything's attached. You see this crane is too close and it has gone vertical, and it's going to go over backwards. So it's lost all its tension on the boom, and it's turned into a tower now, which is not going to survive well. So we're past center. That crane is going backwards. Anything behind that crane is now toast. You can see these cranes here are taking up a lot of the tension that they were holding over here. And these things are arced like fishing poles. Yeah, they're all going with it. So now you got all this stuff failing. The boom is buckling. Another crane. You got 3 or 4 cranes all falling over. Obviously, a sandy place where people don't follow rules or use parking brakes or blocks or anything to hold their equipment in place. Guy running with camera. That's always excellent camera work. Oh. So that right there is what I'm talking about. So right here, this thing, they were trying to use this excavator to help control this machine from coming over and flopping down. And then the operator sees the crane starting to flip. There's nothing he's going to do to stop that crane from flipping. But what I think is going on is this operator here is smart, and he's hitting the down lever to drop his cable as fast as possible. And then you see it start to come back down. So he either it came detached or he was able to unwind his drum, his cable fast enough to bring it back down. And that's a back injury all day long. Getting slammed straight down like that. That's a bad day. This is what I consider one of the most dangerous things is doing these where was it? So these walls, So all these concrete walls, what they do is they pour the slab down, and then they pour these walls. They actually make these walls on top of the other concrete. So you have the concrete floor um, laid out. So what you have is you have a concrete floor that they lay out, polish, and all this stuff, and then they'll lay down this film of plastic, and then they'll and put the design like the little notches you see in the walls. They'll lay down little strips of wood, and then they pour a wall on the concrete floor, and they'll do that throughout the whole building. And then these are called tip-up buildings. The reason they call it is because they tip the wall up and then stand it in place, and they use these little beams on the side here to hold them straight up and down. A lot of construction companies do this method because it's fast. The crane is only on the job site for a short period of time. Tip up the walls in 1 to 2 days. Crane's done and off the job site. It's a fast way of getting it done, but it's super dangerous. You can already see, yeah. You see how fast that wall just fell over because all that's holding it are the two little beams here. And that one section of wall, so those sections of walls, it probably cost probably $100,000 per section of wall to have those put up. Looks like Russia. Oh, decapitated. All right, so here again. So the way they do this, they have to lift this up, and it takes the strength of all these different cables, and they're designed to rotate. So you've got some blocks up here that have wheels on them, and the cable runs over it. So the heavier end down here basically allows this wall to tip up, and those cables will rotate through there, allowing it to go straight up and down. So these little bars that you see here, these are the holder bars that will be attached back here somewhere in the concrete to help hold that wall vertical where it's going to be sitting. But we have a failure right here at that picking point. It pulled through, something happened, it released it. So now the weight balance has changed. That guy standing on the wall for some ridiculous reason, don't know why. None of these guys should be anywhere near this thing. So you see he jumped off, he's on the ground. Yeah, you can't predict where these things are going. You got an idea, but the whole crane comes over. And that's somebody got hurt in that situation, I guarantee it. Seen this video from different angles before. This crane is already tipping, and it's picking up a bridge, so it's setting a bridge section. Obviously, calculations weren't correct on the weight. There wasn't enough counterweights on this crane for that lift. We're taking a tree apart. And tree's heavier than the dude thought. Nice slow tip over. Operator's fine. People are fine. Crane, not so much. All right, so, oh, truck drivers love that. Excavators can be top heavy, especially those other ones. What do we have here? So we got a tower crane that's not necessarily a tower crane. Whoa. That's some weird, that must have been a demonstration. Oh, that's a tower crane. That's a big tower crane. Yeah, those guys, those operators. That operator may have survived that one. The first one, not so much. That looks like a demolition there. That may have been on purpose for that one. This one, not so much. Lower it, lower it, lower it. Keep your load low. Yep, boat's not designed to handle that much weight. Oh, this is one of my, okay, it's just somebody dropped something on their car. So here, this is one that, this is inside, this is like a chassis crane. So the operator's off to the side. They've got a deep hole, so this is for a tunnel work. At this point, you can see the excavator is already tipping forward. So you got a picking point here and a picking point here. The problem that I see what happened is the boom is in a, like if you're parked and you just set the bucket on the ground, that boom should have been pulled all the way back and boomed up as far as it could go. Because what happens is now you have that boom out there with the bucket on it that's pulling the weight forward, so your center of gravity is not in between the two picking points, and you're not even looking at the stuff. There you go, put you back. So all that other stuff I just showed you is for nothing. And because I don't have you guys up on my other window over here, let me fix this. Put this over here. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of issues here. Picking points are here, which are fine. That's the picking points if it says that's where they are. But the weight of the boom being way out in front of the machine makes the machine heavy on the cab side. So your center of gravity is way forward. And chaos is going to ensue. I'll let you listen to this one. Listen how long it takes. That was probably 100 to 200 feet down. Listen to this again. You hear how long it took it to hit the bottom? That's a deep hole. And there are probably people down at the bottom. All right, I think we've seen enough cranes fall over. Now, this is an old shovel. Old shovel. Again, foreign country, probably most likely. Old diesel rig. So it's designed as a shovel because you can see the two rams are designed to push, and the knuckle system here with a big hydraulic ram designed to get more power pushing. Now, compared to these old shovel machines, the excavators of today have more pulling power than they do pushing power. But I just thought this was cool to see an old machine like this still working. And you can see they're not very fast, these old machines. Now, this is some real backwoods digging. Not even sure what they're doing, but they're doing it. Oh, Oh, bulldozer destruction. This is what happens to your old machines. This is just one big claw here that will bite through dang near anything. So he's working his way, cutting through the main structure. Look at that claw. Now, I've run a machine that had a claw like this. You're going to bite that hydraulic ram, try to cut it off. There you go, cut right through it. That's those hydraulic ram. Those pistons are what am I thinking? They're tempered. They're hardened steel. So it's not like this other steel that's a little more mild steel, and it takes more of it to be strong. But these things are designed to be strong in one direction. But this is what happens to all your old cars and equipment and stuff that become obsolete or not used, and people just don't want them anymore. They just destroy them, cut them apart. Now, this is probably less likely to be an American area because typically you see some water and stuff coming out of it, or oil. If it's oil, then they didn't do their proper stuff. I don't know why they're cutting that bucket up, because that bucket could have been reused. Could use it for an excavator bucket for cleanup and whatnot, but they're just scrapping it. When you sell off your machine, anything you sell off for scrap, that's what happens to it. It turns into scrap. They make big steel into little steel. Now you can see all this other mild steel it just kind of bent through it, and that cutting edge. When I talk about hardened steel, watch that cutting edge right there. It just snaps. That's hardened steel. It's not like this other steel that bends and flexes. Hardened steel does not bend or flex. It's designed to be as rigid as possible until it reaches its failing point and just fails. It snaps. Oh, poor. You think of how many people probably ran this machine up until this point to where it got just destroyed. That was a hydraulic tank he hooked onto. That's all hydraulic oil. So there's no way this is an American scrapyard. Because in America, that would not happen. Now, this is this is Las Vegas. This is an actual news production. They're talking about this pond. This is in Las Vegas. I did a little bit of research on this. Not a whole lot. I didn't have a lot of time this morning when I saw this. But
construction crews at a Vegas loop site do not want you to see what's behind this fence just feet away from a busy valley road. A source familiar with the project telling us that company has already been cited with a $500,000 fine. I'm Denise Valdez.
okay, so what's going on here is the news companies or whatever have seen this company that's in Las Vegas. You can look them up and find out who they are. They're doing an underground tunnel in Las Vegas for Tesla cars that will be driving in the tunnels to drive around and miss the boulevard of basically it's an underground taxi service. So that way you don't have to be on the main strip where all the people are at. So you can go from one end of Vegas to the other end fairly quickly and not have to take all the surface streets. So they're working on a tunnel system. Now they've had some issues. All the issues, I don't know what, but they have had issues with chemical spills. So we have groundwater. I think this is groundwater, but what they've got is they're being sued again for a chemical spill of some sort.
A site worker in front of this visible pond at a boring company work site for the Vegas Loop, located on the former site of the Vegas restaurant Firefly. The water still and greenish, roughly the size.
Greenish water is normal. It's water turns green. That's algae. The color of the water is not what's important.
Of a tennis court. And if you're curious how close it is to the public, it's just feet away from Paradise Road near the Las
It's construction site. It's what happens.
Vegas Strip. Boring Company crews saw our cameras and immediately worked to cover up the fence with black tarps, telling us to stay off property. We watched from a public sidewalk as they hid the site, citing privacy concerns. So we put our camera on a pole and got a better idea of how large the pond is. It's also visible from the Clark County website. But then,
you're not on private property, but there's an expectation with private.
secure.
So that's BS. This guy's just trying to BS these people out of here. And this camera crew, they know their rights. These guys just don't want them filming. Expectation of privacy is not privacy. As long as they're standing on public ground, they can put a 100-foot pole in the air and film the job site. Now, they could call the police and have them removed off the sidewalk for loitering. That would be a legal way of getting rid of them. So if you've got people that are standing around looking at your job site, you can call the cops. That's the best thing you can do. If they're not on the site, you can call the cops and have them removed for loitering, because they're just standing there watching.
From the site told us not to watch the construction work from the public sidewalk, noting we were using a pole.
You can view it from public property, not over the fence.
A source familiar with the project told 8 News Now the site has been the subject of a $500,000 violation and comes on the heels of other fines, including an OSHA investigation which found nearly 20 workers were chemically burned and working in a site lined with spilled, quote, toxic sludge. The site, a part of the Vegas Loop system, an approved underground transportation network using Tesla cars. As for this spot,
so it's a cool thing that they're doing. It's basically an underground pipe with some ventilation that's going to allow Tesla cars to basically drive underground. So now we don't have to use special ventilation holes and stuff like that for the carbon monoxide that cars put off. So now all you have is a car and you just have people breathing. So much smaller air vents are needed to keep fresh air running through those pipes.
Body of water, we still don't know what it is, but it's apparent they don't want us or the public to see it.
There's an expectation with privacy.
So that's that. I'm not going to play the whole thing. But it's, I mean, when you're on a job site, and they've got expectations of privacy, the best you can do is put up those fence covers to block people walking by from seeing. But if somebody wants to see what's happening on your job site, they'll find a way to do it. I mean, everyone's always going to find a way. It's just the way people are. If they want to see it or do it or something like that, they are going to find a way to see it. So, with that, you guys got any questions? Got any questions for me? Because I'm going to call it here. We actually got almost an hour today, but I'm going to shut this live stream down. And then what I'm going to do is in about half an hour, I'm going to fire up another live stream. I'm going to be doing some American Truck Simulator, hauling some heavy equipment around. So I'll just you see me sit here, play with my steering wheel. I got my steering wheel out, got a shifter here, and I got pedals down below. So maybe I can set up another camera just looking at the wheel and stuff like that. I've got that capability. So we'll see if I can do that. Tran, yes. Question. Shoot. Eagerly awaiting the question. So anybody that watches this channel has seen Tran come in quite a bit. He's a young lad, and he's in high school right now, and he wants to be a heavy equipment operator, and he follows me on quite a few of my social medias. So the question here is, the news crew has the right to film the construction site. They have the right to film the construction site from a public area. So they can't go onto the private site and film, but they can film from a public sidewalk. So I hope that answers that question. So the security guard that they hired that's out front is trying his best. He was basically told to do his best to prevent people from filming the job site. So he's just trying to say that there's an expectation of privacy for the job site, because the company knows they're being sued. And this happens a lot. The company that we have working for us that did the directional bore, the micro tunnel, they were being sued on it from another previous job site, but because they, for whatever reason, I don't know what the lawsuit was about, but there is one. There's always lawsuits. Almost every job I go to, after the fact the job is done, the construction company, the primary, might sue us, or we might sue them over small little things. So there's always lawsuits in construction. But when it comes to safety, where this company in particular in Vegas is dealing with safety concerns with hazardous spills in the water that's in the tunnel. It might just be lime. It could be a little bit of grease. It could be maybe someone spilled some paint that got into that little bit of water. There's no telling what it is, but OSHA will consider it a hazard and say it's illegal and it has to be cleaned up. And if they don't clean it up in a reasonable amount of time, and they're citing that they have to get their production numbers first before they do this other stuff, that's where things get shady. So there are companies out there that will prioritize production over safety, and those are the companies you don't want to work for. So you have the right to walk off a job and not be penalized for it. I mean, yeah, you're going to lose your paycheck. You're going to go find someone else to work for that's going to be safer. But all those guys that are walking around and doing all that on that job site have been doing it just like I have for years, and they know what is actually really bad or not bad. But they did say a couple of guys had chemical burns on their skins, which means they probably weren't wearing their proper PPE when working with the chemicals. The chemicals may have been something they were directly working with, and they didn't have the proper equipment to work with it and got the skin burns. It's highly unlikely that they just walked through the job site and got splashed with something. Yeah, OSHA has a lot of power. So, yeah, Tran just says OSHA has power. OSHA has a lot of power. I've only had OSHA come out to one of our job sites on purpose for trenching and shoring one time, and that was because the main contractor that we were subbing to had called OSHA on us. And was on one of my trenches. And so the only thing they hit me on were the benches that were going around. A rock had rolled off the spoil pile after I was done and past that section, and the rock was just sitting up on the bench. It was 4-foot bench. A rock was within that 4 feet that had rolled off the pile, which is what that 4-foot zone is supposed to be for, is to prevent that rock from rolling down and then rolling into the hole. It gives the rock time to stop in a reasonable amount of space. And it did. It stopped up there. But I got in trouble because that rock was sitting there outside of my reach and I couldn't move it. So they're saying that I left it there, and when it actually had rolled off the pile. So they just sent a laborer over there. He picked the rock up and chucked it back into the pile, and it stayed. So they were picking at straws, trying to find something that we were doing that was illegal. The whole hole was dug within the contracted design of it, and we were legal. On paper, we were completely legal, but they still called OSHA on us. They didn't like it. If a company doesn't like your shoring plan, they have the right to deny it. If they approve the shoring plan that we present to them, that's how we're gonna dig it. So as an operator, if I don't like the shoring plan, I can say, hey, I'm going to take it a little bit wider at the top, make it safer. And I do that on occasion, or actually a lot of occasions I do that. There are other occasions where the ground is so good, I'll push the limit of the vertical. I might go just over 4 feet. It'd be like 4'2" or something like that. And then the ground guy will get mad at me for leaving an extra 2 inches of vertical in the bottom. Then he'll make me come back and trim it off. But that's just trying to make, seconds of production over a whole day. Adds up to maybe an extra 10 feet of ditch at the end of the day, 10 more feet of pipe laid. And those pipes are very, very valuable when they go into the ground and get put together. That's when we get paid, is when the pipe goes in and gets put together. We don't get paid for the backfill. We don't get paid for the trenching side of it. We only get paid for the pipe that goes into the ground. And that's why production numbers are so important. Oh, do I have anything else? Going through my photos that I downloaded here, see if I have anything that's new. I don't think I do. Nope. I already showed you everything, so that puts me all caught up. So thank you for hanging out. I will be back in a little while. We're going to do some truck simulator. I want to make a delivery or two, and then that'll be it for the day. I got other things I got to take care of a little bit later. I want to turn the heaters on in my garage so I can warm that up, so I can go out in the garage and do some work out there so I'm not freezing to death. So thank you for hanging out with me. And as always, keep your butt level and your ditch straight. I will talk to you guys next week. All right. And I'll see you in a